I was like right next to the door while gunshots were shooting through the door, and then he just busted in.
The idea from the beginning was to go directly at the NRA, something that had never been done before. The format of the film is basically going to be 5 stories. Each one will be deeply personal.
Each one take a different look at a different way that gun violence happens in the U.S. So there's a domestic violence story, a story about trafficking specifically in Chicago, an unintentional shooting involving a young boy, a mass shooting, and for that we're looking at the Aurora movie theater shooting that happened in 2012. We're also looking at a story about a suicide that involved a gun.
I help finding information and finding names and finding these the different people that are affected by gun violence and get in contact with them and see if they will be a part of it.
And then on the other side, we show how the gun companies and the NRA try to take advantage of these tragedies to sell more guns.
There is no greater freedom, believe me, than the right to survive. With all the rifles, shotguns, and handguns that we want.
So when you first start approaching people and trying to find, the people who are going to tell these stories, it's a really difficult thing to do, at least for me, just because it's really hard to ask someone to talk about something so painful.
A man legally buys a gun at a pawn shop in Oklahoma City Monday morning. Moments later, he used that very same gun to kill himself.
I want people to understand that there is something that normal, everyday, average Americans can do to try and stop this.
We have 3 full-time editors that are working right now who are all working on various parts of the film. One of the major challenges that we have is trying to figure out how do we insert all of the facts? How do we put in all the policy in these really emotional stories? So the style that we decided to implement was to put the graphics in the world of the environment of our characters. So you might have somebody walking and a fact will come up as they're walking in that world.
Our distribution of our film is extremely grassroots, and we are working with as many groups and individuals as possible to get people thinking more about gun violence and especially about what they can do to make a change and difference around it in this country.
We want students and families to be debating all the different facets of gun violence and the policies related to it. So that's why we're bringing it into schools, having debates, local communities, libraries, churches, just so people can start talking about gun violence.
Stop selling guns that kill our kids!
We need to challenge any politician to ask them to stand up to a gun lobbyist with a checkbook.